CARI originally started with 10 guys. Over the years, especially in the last 6 months, we've been so busy with work that we've recruited 2 more guys, one from the US Navy SEALs and one ex-CIA. We do a lot of cases where we travel around the world rescuing, recovering children who have been abducted either by their parents or in a lot of cases now human trafficked, child prostitution. Child abduction is growing 60 to 70% per year worldwide. It's a massive, massive problem. Now, I think the biggest problem, from what we've seen, is there's not enough media, there's not enough exposure to the problem. A lot of governments don't emphasise it because they see it as a family problem. But there's hundreds and thousands of cases each year. If I'm right, I think the last time I looked on the Swedish side was between 100 to 200 cases just within Sweden. In nearly 80–90% of the times, the parents are either having trouble separating or before separation, and one parent will decide to set up an illegal abduction, not telling the other parent, and just say they're going to a theme park one day. Or a common way is if it's a multicultural relationship, one parent who's got the abduction in his mind or her mind will say we're going overseas to see the grandparents, and the parent gives them authority to take the children on a holiday, and they never return. That's a very typical case. We've seen a lot of children who have been neglected. In one case particular, Laos, was a British child taken from the UK to Laos by the mother and just dumped there, and she's taken off to the US. The father had tried everything. He'd won the UK court order. The UK courts had ordered the child to be returned for nearly a year, 2–3 years, I think it was. But the problem was the Laos authorities, as corrupt as you'll ever come across, the judge's decision in Laos was, the final decision was, the judge told the father he needs to sort it out with the family himself. That was it. So the father had no option, if he ever wanted to see his child again, to rescue the child. So here's a UK boy, he's been taken out of his home in the UK, dumped with strangers who he's never met, can't speak the language, for 2 or 3 years. The little boy, Morgan, was going through hell. Laos is a very, very poor country, and a lot of, unfortunately, like Burma and Myanmar, those sort of places around there, they'll sell their children for $20, $50. That's a lot of money to them. So we had heard from inside information that little Morgan, his name was Morgan, was soon to be sold on the black market from Laos. That's it, they're gone. Sold to another country, trafficked through illegally, and then they're pimped out for sex. He needed to be taken out back to the UK for his own safety. We had been there as an undercover documentary crew to assess whether the child was in good health or not. And that was just a decoy to get in as close as we could to see if the boy was still alive, where he was staying, the conditions, and also to assess the area to see if it was possible to do a rescue. So he got quite close to us because we would give cans of Coke, chocolate, to all the kids around, so we were quite known. So when we did the recovery and the extraction, as in the boat, he knew me. So there was no, I could see in his face he wasn't so worried about me. So I just tried to comfort him like we do all the children and we have local people with us to translate so the kids know what's going on. We're not the Rambo type. We don't go in with grenades, you know, camouflage faces and all this sort of stuff. We're much more professional than that. In this particular case, the father had done everything he could, and he had a lot of evidence which shown that the child was being sexually abused by the mother's new boyfriend, who was a known pedophile in Poland. So we had that to consider as well. We tried to do that as quick as possible because the girl was being abused sexually, and she was only 3-4 years old at the time. So the Polish courts had been looking for 2 years to find the child. They couldn't find her. So the father seen us on the internet. He contacted us. We looked into it. We checked all the documents. Yes, everything was legal. So we started work straight away. Once we had some information, we found the child in 10.5 hours. This just shows you how some local authorities say they help, but they don't do anything. So we done an operation to get her out. It took 12 days. We had to wait for her to come outside. She was living with the grandparents and the mother, and we recovered her safely back to Cyprus.
Okay, here we go.
So now there's charges of, the Interpol has warrants for the mother's arrest and the pedophile's arrest for child sexual activities. So that was a quite touching case, really. These abduction cases, the kids are being used as tools, and this is what people don't realise. There's so many kids out there that are being used, and they're in shocking situations. So it's all about the children. That's why we do this.